that actually sets or defines you as a competent individual. I believe that if a person is able to do a particular thing and they are competent and they show a great deal of ability excelling within that particular thing that they are tasked with or responsibility, I believe that they should be tasked with that particular thing. We can even go to scripture. We find that the 12 disciples of Jesus Christ, or the 11 disciples of Jesus Christ, the majority of them were not educated. The majority of them never went through the rigorous religious institution, the Jewish religious institution that basically certified people that were known as our Pharisees, but were still qualified by Jesus Christ to be what? His disciples. The most important thing when we operate within the heart of God, number one, it is your heart and your conviction to God. Because we know for a fact that it is through the grace of God that we are qualified, even though we are unqualified. So number one, within the church, your heart needs to be in the right place. Number two, you need to be capacitated to perform a particular duty. There is a scripture in the Bible, in the book of Timothy. We find that Paul says that even though you are not called to be a pastor, but if you desire to be a pastor, you can be trained and therefore qualified to be a pastor.
Interesting on what you say with Nhlakanipho, but again, it's of my heart can be there. But what if the leaders of the church says, I don't qualify to perform such duties? Because when you have the qualification, I don't have it. But Sgela, what are you saying about?
So I am basically in agreement with in terms of being competent. My qualification does not guarantee competence. Like these days, we call another driver without license, only license and so it's the same thing, it's a standard. The qualification is just a standard that says we, as a particular institution, agree that you qualify for what you do, but it does not mean you can perform the task. If you go back to history and look at where the universities come from, I think the first person who created a university was in Morocco, was the first Muslim person, because it comes from Muslim religion. Universities were not part of Christianity or Judaism, it comes from the Muslim religion. So they were trying to instill their way of doing things. However, up to this day, it has come up to be what it is right now. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that it does not give you competence to say, because I've studied engineering, I can do engineering. That's not, it doesn't work like that. You find that most of the time, when people who are qualified come into the workspace, they come and they are trained by people who are not qualified. And they end up being bosses of those people who are not qualified. But the only reason they are competent is because they found Ubaba and he taught them without even communication. So it's all about training and how we adapt to this. At church, it's similar thing, because you might have a qualification to say you studied the Bible, and then if you find you don't have the qualification of the Christian doctrine, but you do have a qualification that you went to Bible study, but qualities when it comes to preaching and all of that, you don't have to do that.
But I think when it comes to your question, you want to do it, but your leaders don't believe in you because they think you are incompetent because you don't have the qualification, correct? I think also it comes with agreeing with both gentlemen, is to put your foot forward. Yes, you might not believe in me. Yes, somebody else is in me and I have qualification. You don't believe in me, but let me work side by side, work there to show my competence. I think to answer your question is that it's not automatic, my leaders don't believe in me because I don't have the qualification and that you do have mine and you said, knowing exactly what you can do it. But also it's just to take the initiative to the financial staff of the church. But because I'm not yet qualified, I'm qualified as an accountant. So basically, you coming back to church with your qualification, and now you're taking my role that I've been doing for the past 5 years. Anyway,
Okay. Greetings to all in the name of our Lord, wonderful and Savior. Okhulumayo uSgela wakathandwayo who be your host for the day. Ngaphambi kokuthi siqhubeke, I would like to take this opportunity and welcome our panelists, our guests, and the guests that are joining us online. Please feel free to engage with us. Before we can go any further, I would like to take this opportunity and give our panelists a chance to introduce themselves and greet the panelists.
Good morning. Bcom Accounting, Sindane, Dladla, all the way from Daveyton, of Medicine. I'm a public relations graduate. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got 2 businesses, and it's a pleasure to have you and to be part of this panel today.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Senelisiwe, Nkosi, also known as Neli. I am from Soweto. I go to the General Church of Christ under Bishop Dladla. I am a Bcom Accounting graduate. I practice as an accountant. Yeah, that's all that I do. I've been doing accounting for the past 7 years, and yeah, that's me. Thank you for having me as part of that.
Sanibonani, ngabonga wakajele. Konza Nkosi under the leadership of UNISA. Well, for me, I studied linguistics, and it was a great thing for me to do because obviously when we're interacting right now, what are we using? Language to interact. So I can say that for me it's a safe space because I'm more than comfortable when it comes to such. And currently I'm a master's student with TT, and I'm just glad to be part of the Panelist today. Thank you.
Sanibonani igama uSibusiso Wabulilo, okhonza ibandla likaZini lokuphila, and today I'm representing so I am a farmer, I am an entrepreneur, and I'm happy to be part of this today.
Diligence to engage as the Zion community, more specifically on academics. I'm happy this is happening today in the month of June, which is the Youth Month. For us to have a constructive talk show, can we please converse in a respectful manner? No vulgar words, no offensive language, and etc. We're going to have subtopics for the day. There's no time limit, guys. Please feel free to engage with us, but be concise. Education improves skills such as literacy, develops effective habits, and also it may improve cognitive inability. The first subtopic we're going to discuss today, it's the stigma between a graduate and a non-graduate in the Zion Church. How so? To elaborate, there are certain duties that I can perform as a non-graduate, but because there is a graduated church, then I'm unable to perform those duties. So basically, the graduates are getting the first preference. How does that affect us as the non-graduates?
Element of bias, and it's an element of bias and prejudice to some extent, whereby people are disqualified from performing certain duties within the church simply because they do not have a particular qualification. Personally, I don't believe that when a person has a particular qualification, now they have the right to override or to replace people that are performing their particular duties. And within the Church of God or within any institutions, more especially within the house of God, I believe that the most important thing about anything else is to have your heart in the right place. The Bible says that King Saul, from a physical perspective, from a physique or physical perspective, he was deemed as a right king. And yet, in the eyes of God, because his heart was not in the right place, even though he had all these qualifications that were necessary, he was disqualified before he was officially removed from his particular position as king. David was young. Yet being young as he is, he was qualified because number one, his heart was in the right place. What does it mean to have your heart in the right place? Number one, you do things not for personal glory. You do things not because you are qualified. You do things not to be seen, but you do things so that you can be of service to others. Number two, it's not enough, I believe, to have your heart in the right place. The most important thing as well is to be able to perform certain duties. I don't believe that people should be relegated to the back simply because now there's someone else who's more qualified than them. I believe in a collaborative approach. That you went to university, there are certain things that you learned. Bring those skills, bring them to the church, and let's work together and improve whatever department of responsibility that we've been given within the church. And it's a win-win situation. From a political perspective, we call it a quid pro quo situation. It's no issues illegally.
It's very interesting.
To echo the very same sentence, whatever that he said right now, it's just that I think we'll be intellectually changing ourselves if ever we're going to disqualify somebody simply because they didn't go to university or an institution of higher learning. What we can do, we can make hand in glove. If yes, you went to school, you studied for this particular position, then there's this person who didn't study, but shows, he or she shows the ability, the hunger, and the eagerness to do this job, then it will be of great significance and of great benefit for us to use you as a graduate and to use the skill set of this one who didn't graduate. Because sometimes you can be a graduate and we find that whenever you have to do the job, one, you're not competent enough. And second to that, whenever you do whatever that you're doing, you're not showing heart, you're not showing that you care about this thing. And this one, whom we refer to him as uneducated, is showing the hunger, the drive, and the agility to do what needs to be done. So therefore, what we need to do is for us to work hand in glove with them, combine those skill sets, and work with them. And again, we see want through action. You are educated, but your actions are contradicting whatever that you studied for. How you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself, does not give us the reflection that you have studied or you are educated. So therefore, how you carry yourself, what you do, should be a reflection of all of those things, and you should be able to encompass both parties, the one that are educated and the one who we deem or qualify that as uneducated.
Interesting. Before I give you a chance, I'm actually having a follow-up question on this. You say, my heart must be, right? My heart is a non-graduate. It's there. And your heart is a graduate. It's not there. And the church currently needs you more than me. So we need to be more practical in these things. Let's not go back to Uzayo way to see something. You know, you guys do get the first preference. You guys, because you know, sometimes we used to do things, but I'm not saying you're not supposed to be innovative. It's Panelist that's doing. So my follow-up question to that is, my heart is there. Mina as an undergraduate, if you examine report to 5, I send the report to 5. Why not graduate? You will tell us how busy your schedule is, how what you is. But me, no, and we must all feel again. Oh, sure, cool. But we're not so feeling. Nagata. No, Mama City. Maybe it's not today, so you know, maybe today we can say this show is going to help us. But then right here, now these people need to work. You spoke about the class in the head, of which these people now need to work together. But does the graduates want to work with the non-graduates?
I think that's what we need to kill. The stigma of I'm a graduate, who's compliment. Now because I've worn the gown, I see myself as above. Yes, my heart is not in it, but also as a Christian, you learn the character of Jesus as well. Your qualification in front of God, fine, you've gotten your qualification, great, it is going to help the body of Christ. Yes, I've got a position, so sometimes it is reality, like accounting for an example. If you're going through an audit, you work late hours. It is reality, I'm working late hours. But I shouldn't be arrogant to say, I don't have the time to do this, you know? There's specific ways to convey the message. If I'm busy with something, I can say, I can assist where I can assist. I understand the church needs my expertise and my skills, but also it's good to impart my knowledge to someone else. This person, they want to do this thing. In case they are with God. As a graduate, and then because the man is so ready, I I'll do it whenever I'm available. Same for without me, nothing's going to happen because that is the problem. Because I've got the skill, because I know how to draft financials, does not mean I can't sit when I've got time to educate someone. The Bible says my people perish because they lack knowledge. Tina, the ones that do have knowledge, what are we doing with it? And I think that's the problem where we need to bridge the gap between our own. People, I'm going to say them as who made the graduates, but some of them as a Christian that can empower and mentor someone else. Maybe me mentoring this person is going to encourage them to go further themselves as well. Because graduating is not just for the church, it's also to empower yourself as an individual. So yeah, that's
what I'm grabbing from what you're saying is, even if you have a busy schedule, but try to prioritize as well. You know? And in the process of you prioritizing, and let me take the skills that I have and uplift you would never know Sasa now was
I think it's historic because even biblically you can pick up on there was a time when the disciples were undermined. As soon as Jesus left, they were undermined when they had to go into Rome. Our Pharisees had to call them because they had to see to immobile. You've been qualified, you've been doing this thing for years, you studied this thing, but you are coming as nothing. So it's a historic issue that has been there in this country. However, I'm happy that we share the same sentiment. We believe in each one. That's how villages were created. That's how our communities were developed. Each one teach one. Whoever will go to town and come back with the skill that they have, imparting to the people who are down there. Because at the end of the day, we understand that we do have to have a standard framework. Because what qualification does, it gives a framework. It gives a person an understanding of what is a debit and a credit, for example, or the financials, what is the cash flow, and so forth. But in this day and age, you also have to bear in mind that we live in a 4IR time, because a person can go to YouTube, even though they didn't study your accounting, but they can tell you, this is the cash flow, this is how you do your balancing, and this is the debit and credit, just from YouTube. So it doesn't necessarily mean we're saying our qualifications are not correct or incorrect. It's good. It's there, it's been there for a while, but at the very same time, now we have to kind of adjust to the times, because times have definitely changed. The qualification in 1999, if you go to a workplace right now, IFRS, Chichi, there's so many times. So it's totally different.
What I'm thinking, never take for granted where you are. And always give yourself the benefit of the doubt. I'm here for a reason. Where I am, maybe I may be a non-graduate today, but you don't know mine tomorrow. But before we can actually close this subtopic, let's give our people at the ground and say much of this, please. You sound so soft.
I think I'm going to Sindane, from Nhlakanipho. We get to Esau I've been listening to the engagements and Kumara and how we approach it. But I feel like we can concept explain, define concept about as Kumara there's a very huge gap between cultures and education. Those things related. If we check historically, the way we do the code, the way we apply the law, calling Z is not in school. We in the spiritual aspect. We can try to measure the education, those things. There's a thin line, it's synthesis at the farm. You know what is the behavior nowadays? It's the churches that are coming into service. They're trying not to bring a certain standard, and so to say, is the example, which is very good. But now it comes back to what you said, there must be a meeting of minds when we meet to implement these things. Because it's something spiritual and control, you don't know. So as soon as the capacity, the traditional admin is spiritual, it's well and good. Admins too, it's going to make someone to confirm and expect it. That's why you see some churches sometimes are not cool. Because they say they don't want to pay, there's no admin. But this thing must reach. At some point, it must reach a safe place to say, all of us must be. We must work in here. There's no way we can say spiritual. There's guys who went to them in this school assembly, Senelisiwe. That's a stigma. And it became a problem is that were parents of changes. I think some of us here, the first ones, to come versus qualifications. I don't say versus qualification is important or important. But as a thing like that, I want to go back to education. What is education? Education is two ways. It's a formal education and informal. It doesn't mean you can go to bed, you're not educated. Education is visual institution. It's imparting skills. You can go to university, get an engineer. You may be someone at the corner there by Chaplain, fixing cars, a child, and can fix that car better than someone in Italy, a child. So it is skill. Not about taking proper documentation. The documentation is all about segregation. Because you know what they do? They say, if you're a skilled engineer in fixing cars, you need to adhere to certain standards and qualifications so that if a car gets into an accident, you can only go to a particular toilet. You're being forced to go there because insurance wants you to go there. But I think that's part of the calling because it doesn't have a proper documentation. It is structural thing. So we need to go into these dynamics and check very well. What is this game? Because you can fight amongst one another, but you need to preach that there's a game happening. So those are the solutions.
I hear you, my dad. I hear you very well. And we are going to see spiritual. And we are going to ask spiritual kanjalo. Silwele sona leskill. Khona ibandlela seziyona. Leskill lesi njengoba ngestigma. Sona leskill lesi engizanayo lekusini mina as a graduate. Siyasifundisa khona la ezweni. As much as kunabafowethu bathi bona abafuni esikolweni. Balwa nathi thina esikolweni. And ukusiza asiyabuya khona. Ukusiza bona lo ukuthi sihlangane so. As you say, our minds needs to meet. But how do we try to balance that? Because at times we're never fun to talk about food. You know, they even think she's at So going down and Sisi Zanu's budget is good. Guys, we are with you. We understand good outside food or a food. We don't care the reason behind, but can we work hand in hand since we're in the same environment? So today, who's Sisi is good? Sisi must come along for it to start putting because there are days where they'll think Nina is at You know, the way we talk people on the call, so it was defend. But now, after today, I'll have a different approach. Also, let me calm down. So I'm coming from this end. I don't want us to part ways. I don't want us to fight. Yeah, but there's a reason why I said respect where you are. And there's a reason why you're there. Same way, Mama.
Yes. For me, this person is I think you need to do this super operation with but trouble is happening, I see you doing that. Meaning that so that's what I then they will only skill on the potential. We all arrive in the past. Where's the much of the finance? Our premium was in Japan. Meaning good team. If I know that I have to do skills, I have to do because there are that we really depend. We can't run away from that. They will be doing this good. Then I am schooling. So we need them at the same time. So I found another information enter, which is your to school. I mean, unless I start to do it every time I mention general and so that's when there is a real graduate. So I found you to something so for school. Better than that, I will tell us the way. I will know this, so that so that I think they can have been able to back there and another stuff. I will call them, and I will call them behind. I will let them so the same and shall take that.
Closing this subtopic, honestly, we need to work hand in hand. You know, it's important. Important. Be very united, right? And the last graduates, can we learn to accommodate them? It's not going you know, let's try to accommodate them as much as God would accommodate. God again.
When you say accommodate them,
yes.
So that is on its own so already separated.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I'm sorry to jump in, but what I'm trying to say is that issue is a mental issue. Even for a person to say, don't let another person's insecurities affect you. So mentally, we have to be placed at a point where you understand. It's all about understanding the change. You also which is spiritual design. At the very same time, we understand that we have to incorporate growth within design. We need everyone in this change because my view of how the Christian church was back then is humanity working across Sweden. You understand that on its own is an institution. We call it HR, we call it finance, within Christ is disciples. That is why you find where Omunye was a financier, so Christ was very intelligent when he created Christianity because it was an institution. And within the institution, back on who were fishermen who understood their role as fishermen. And then there were those who were and then there were those who were rich children within the institution. But the main thing is to understand where we are going, target all the destination. Because at the end of the day, I believe or I wish one day for us to have a place where Uzayuni has a social worker, UNISA performs within, let's have our own economy. Let's entrepreneurs, let entrepreneurs be within Zion supported. Because it's funny how other religions, like Muslims, for instance, they have their own bank. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Season phrase. But again, Mahukala, Italian nazi. Nascara is a mistake, Masala, graduating. But again, to fix it, maybe see the again, it's a short pen. Who made a pen for the division must end. You know, the division must end, but don't want to see division in color. Call him. So, what's the good name of the what do I say? Such a big number two. Such a big number two. Eating. Not everyone is academically good. Yes, who are graduates who are successful. Never graduates are successful.
We've got Henry Ford as an example. He didn't have any qualification. He's built Ford. Today we have Ford. You've got Abu Gates, people who are not who dropped out, but they own companies. So it's not only about their equity once qualified for success. Even in the business industry, I can tell you there's a lot of people who are making a lot of money and they are employing people who are qualified.
Yeah, but you know we go to school because the city is full of successful. And we see who's gonna sing on because after everything, education is important. We mustn't run, and we mustn't run away from that fact. It is important for people to be well equipped. It is important for people to be able to do it. Yes.
I think it's important, but I think it's second Timothy 3:15. He says, study to show yourself approved unto God. A working man that rightly divides the word of truth. Here, now in keyword, Proverbs 1 verses 5, it says, a wise man will hear and he will increase in learning. Isi to city fundisel. You know, isi to city fundisel. If we are fundisel, anything we can achieve it. You know, to give you a typical example, I never put that guy videography. You know, I never went to videography. Mumfana Pito Bazana, 5 years. You know, but because she has the expertise, is it now can't have for a company, event, videography, because if we say, as any time, Mumfana, Untomazana, Uzomchina. You graduated in Atala, 20 years ago. I want to talk to you but the spirit, so he said. You know, so in the that's the point of view. It's important yokuthi sifunde ukuyenzani ukufundise bese above anything else kubalulekile ukuthi sizithubile. Yabona mina in everything esiyenzayo iBhayibheli lithi uJesu anoNkulunkulu ngaphakathi kwakhe. Azange wazibone alingene noNkulunkulu kodwa wazehlisa waba yincinci. So kubalulekile ukuthi senze sifundise, you know, and if you've got a teachable spirit, I believe ukuthi akukho la uNkulunkulu angekavulele khona iminyango. iBhayibheli lithi ngikhuluma ngomusa. Bakhuluma ngomusa ukuthi grace is basically unmerited favor. Khona abantu bokuthi uyabheka lo muntu uzibuze ukuthi uwenza ngani. Kancane iminyaka iyavulekela. Why? It's because umusa kaNkulunkulu kuphi ubuye. Sembala iBhayibheli lithi pride precedes a great fall. But mozehlisa uNkulunkulu yenzani yaphakamisa.
Somehow, before you jump in, somehow, i-possibilities are years. Sithe masiqala, sithe belewenzeni, the mind used to meet. And now you're coming and saying, so you're going to think everything starts in the mind. Before, if your mind understands the assignment, who's over to talk? Like if your mind doesn't, it's successful. You can jump in.
Yes, and to echo the very same sentiments that we want right now. You made mention of the fact that you can be educated and not be successful. Let's pin it down to this. Let's look at it from this perspective. That the main fundamental foundation of education is to give people the ability to lead their mind. Second to that, being able to interact, to communicate. Those are the main foundations of education. Now, which means that I can be educated, but I might not be successful in the field in which that I studied for. I need to keep that in mind, that I might go to school and be educated, I might not get the white-collar job that I'm looking for. What does that mean? I venture into the entrepreneurship space. I studied linguistics, I studied languages, I want to go and work for this prestigious language company. But unfortunately, when I apply, they don't take me. What do I do? Yeah, I find a niche area where, and what's that niche area? Entrepreneurship. I start my own language company. I start editing books for people. I start interpreting at certain places. You see, I didn't get that job, but still I'm able to use that skill set and use it where in this regard and in this area. And to show that education is of great significance, regardless of the lens that we used to view it from, it's of great significance. Look at Apostle Paul. His ability to read and write with rhetorical sophistication shows that he had a bit of formal education. So therefore, it serves to show that education is of great significance. You might not be successful in the area that you want. We tend to say that we play, but God decides. You see, so therefore, I might play that, I want that white-collar job. But God says, no, you know, this is not your job. I'm redirecting the steps. This is the route that you need to take.
I like the part of the journey. I think the problem is we have made it a thing in routine. Someone that is smart is someone that's not smart. If I pass the metric and my distinctions, I'm smart and guaranteed I'm going to be successful. And that's why we overlook the people who are and becoming successful. Most of the classes, they're not passing, you know. But as also you go with, I think it's application. You know, sometimes I struggle to articulate myself, but it's application of what you want to do. You know, God has given us skill. You know, I know for a fact I'm not good smart, but it does not mean I'm not successful. Proverbs, when God says the plan is to make you prosper, you have to believe that and you have to apply that. But in society, we're all chasing things that are not within our, I'm not going to say caliber, but not within what God had intended for us. If God had intended for me to be a farmer, I like to do my nails and now I have to go dig through soil. But if that's where my expertise and my skills, that is where I'm good at. This is my strong point. We're not going to get anywhere. Everyone wants to get into varsity, but we knowledge in other places. Yes, educational institutions, I'm not discouraging universities and whatnot, but also seeking knowledge from other places. If I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to start maybe from Panelist, for example, you go and you seek knowledge, you go and you do your research. I think that's the difficult part in the journey. It is to start, because as soon as you set a goal, I believe there's an obstacle course in front of you. And within that obstacle course, you have to go down and under, and you have to forget sometimes. Sometimes you feel like I'm teaching you in America, but that is the road to success. Like when you listen to great success stories, you know, and maybe some of them didn't. I can't even quote people like my panelists are quoting, but I know the journeys of people like realistically saying, this is where I started, and it wasn't easy. I think that the thing that we need to shy away from is to start. In problem, because we're scared of failure. But what is failure? It's you see who's let's take another route. You are in a maze. There are dead ends, but also it does not mean you're not going to make it out of that maze. I think that is where the barrier is we think soon as I'm from Nigeria and I can speak English. But I cannot speak English and I can have an accountant that can represent me, but he also has a checks. You cannot do anything without my finances, but I don't even have a metric. So it's knowledge, it's getting knowledge. That is
So mentorship comes in, where people should align themselves to people who will help them, because this day and age, we live in an era where there's two different things. There is education and then there is information. Economically, you normally need information, because even if you have the education, there are doors that you never enter because you have information. So we have to have a distinct between the two, and then once you tap into that and you identify someone who can mentor you in the field that you're in. Look, I'm coming from an accounting background, by the way. I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer now by choice, because I had to understand when I look at the history. If you go back to how the education system in South Africa was formed, it's all, it was all in controlling. It was colonialism in a way, controlling the black person in a way. Even though Negi is it's another topic for another day. But where I am, people were given mindset of employment rather than ownership. That is why we have a low number of people who are entrepreneurs. Because people who were given that mindset you understand? So people didn't see themselves as owners of those businesses that were incentive. That's why we have to appreciate the people who paved the way right now to this day, who are our black brothers and black sisters, or not even with car. People who've changed the mindset and the narrative to say, okay, there's two different things. There's information, there's education. As fun as it is, but if you have information, you can succeed. You can do anything that you want to be.
So we also need to listen. You know, so as an easy as a it's because we already have. You know, that was successful zone, Namsan was successful. So that's another thing. As if again, understand where you are and appreciate where you are. Never compare yourself to anyone else. Never compare your journey. I'm going to come back to you shortly. Never compare your journey with someone else's journey. Because you're here for you, I'm here for me. And if you think I understand a lot of beauty, everyone has their own journey. And sometimes I spend the credit. You spoke about pride. Yes, pride, but now I'm going to you know, you are this successful on the you know, so nothing we need to seize on as much as we say, pride, but as this person approaches now, can we just give Umama exactly?
In what you're saying, I think it's very important for us to this movement. We don't necessarily have to have all the qualifications that we need in the world if I very important for us to be able to listen to one another, pay attention to what each other is saying to one another, so that we can be able to build the church into greater heights, into something that we always wanted to be in. Abantu abadala, yes, bakhona, and some of the things that we do, they don't understand. They feel like we want to change the perspective of bonds. We want to bring easy Romana that they will never even remember. But what is important as and be able to have open discussions like this, so that we have people are more open.
You know, with what you're saying, we don't have Tilibajin, but we are about to see so for us to implement these things. With what you say, yes, there are organizations. For an example, we know the kids are struggling with mathematics, physical science, but those organizations, what they do is they provide extra classes for these kids. You know, they help them to study, they help them to do their assignments and all this. But basic delay, basic delay, graduate you know, Shena, we don't have these things. So today, we need to start projects. If you know what you call it accounting, so what I'm saying is, we also need to have these organizations. We need to provide these things for our kids. We need to support them throughout. Because we only want to support these people, only for you to be a graduate, we start at school. And if you're struggling in school, why? Because currently, I solve X. So basically, if we can have people like tutors, people that know more, they can also help us. And it's in our circle. So,
it's important to know who you are. Number two, it's important to know where you come from. You know, and it's important never to compare your journey with someone else. Be true to who you are. The Bible says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You know, I've got a friend of mine. He never had I think Anna 12 or 18. The Bapila Ramna, the Bapila Masabas, yes, the Crystal Park, the Bapila Ramna. And obviously, there are internal issues, but we are not. For the next 10 years, we are not never had a family case in Nhlakanipho. And we live in the Mumba Sheda, the Gashala, But because the Gaza is Simosani and he was true to himself, why is schooling? Maga is schooling he had challenges. At times, at times, at times he found Ayaki, but he was true to who he is. Ever since, Kona Abata, Kona Abata, it's a safe space there. But if opinion and you are not true to his journey, do you know because school and acting is a court? If Thomas had was it is a couple of years later, we graduates, Martin to graduate, as I'm attending a what graduator, Martin to graduate, to put work as I'm high school with them, put work to General. What's the better? And the other Sevenza, Yabona they got Kinamatri, Niaza Matri in Konai. Put work as I'm and put work into General. I'm going to tell the school for a year, a couple of months. Why is it that work? As I'm actually he graduates. But because he started to cut a long story short, Unkuru was faithful. Unganwami, Namshanje, Usevenza Bank, Unganwami, Namshanje, Unemon. Unganwami, because they give Bebamana, watching in Umamaki, as he contextualized. If you are not true to yourself, because you might not buy a big because you figure out but if you are true to yourself, no mutuna tell one, Mama Pazam, tell you to the same. Can I because he was true to himself. So, in terms of season, Ugutisina's compared Nabanya. Look at where you come from. And this struggle Sakumusas, the Somumusas, we have to our levels where to tie our father. And it becomes easy to fall into your calling and into the purpose of your life if you are true to yourself and what God has paid you to be and be. So,
it's 6 degrees of separation. It mainly means your success is dependent on the 6th handshake that you shake on the first one. Shooting a man, and then when it goes on with the low 6, it's 6 degrees of separation. That's how life operates. In life, if you don't want to sit you must humble yourself. La mina in UNISA into because that's where the problem starts. Once or something, and then take for instance right now, how opportunities end up going outside of Zion, and that's where we find ourselves singles are out of a lot of things. I am a farmer. I own butcheries, 2 butcheries, and I am in the marketing space now as well. So I'm working with Amamor to uplift small businesses. So I take I take those people in my family, and through that I've worked with a whole range show now. That's people Portuguese first, that doing a lot of these things. All I'm saying, when I started this thing, I started targeting Israel. And unfortunately, I gave always, I was not having a crash now, I'm just saying, up to this day, people who are benefiting are people from, now Mr. Story. Where's Mr. Story? Today, he has access. Whenever you see Muvuma, a Protea or Guppy, I'm sorry about that, my brother. I open that door. So what I'm saying, baningi abantu abanezinto ukuthi bangazithatha bayozithengisa eMoto. We end up giving people who are outside of Zion bengene bayenze umsebenzi baziphilise because within Zion iyaqala ukubheka ukuthi
maybe also another thing that we challenge is you don't know what I'm doing. You know, maybe you're not giving me this opportunity because you don't know what's in your mind. And sometimes we feel putting us about putting in and I'm happy with that. You know, there are many bridges that we come across. You see what you've done it as anymore. But what if I'm also doing marketing? But you don't know. So basically after today we need to advertise ourselves in a way. So that's where it starts. Remember saying we started. Yeah, so if we started, I need to tell you this is what I'm doing. Okay, we're gonna move along. Before I move along, please, we'll start to focus on.
Solomon says, your gift will make room for you. You understand? And when you read it in Zulu, this is it's pure sakho down. So now, anything that God has placed in you, that's what's going to make you live tomorrow. We don't live today because we left what God has placed within us and we wanted to chase this. And the biggest idea today is to bridge the gap. I think Nkosi said there's formal education and there's informal education. One of the things that I want to discuss in the last was we need to find which there are people who are gifted academically. You know that guy, you put him in school, he gives you A. There's that guy that you can put him to school for 15 years. That guy's a failure. But that guy has a skill. Where is the skills development center where we're going to develop? You know, baking is a skill. And there are people who live through baking. You understand? There's a lot of things. I see now there's this trend as that's laundry. Laundry is also a skill. So how do we take now those skills in a platform? You have this skill, let it feed you. Because the gap we're trying to bridge here is that let our gifts that God has placed within us, let's develop them, let's nourish them, let's make us live as a Mazayon. And then going to bridge that gap now. In the process of us bridging that gap, the devil is so smart. Satan today, he has changed his tactics to a point where he's playing with our minds. You know the mind is a battleground. You know the Bible says it's with the mind that we serve the Lord. Now what the devil says now, was the spirit of pride. Each and every one of us think we're better today. And that betterness that we have, that's what Indians would now you want me to greet you. But it's all Saturday night you couldn't greet me. You understand? So if we can kill that spirit of pride, that will help us bridge this gap between literacy and illiteracy. Then we come back together and we build one society that benefits everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. How do I get identify my skills? It's a topic for another day. Because but how do I know it's a skill? So when that?
Lastly, so
we are topic number 3. Topic for another day.
Panelist to take it. In a sense, from now, this is me. I'm saying this because of my personal experience and my personal experiences. Personally, I would say that being a graduate does make me a better person. Not better than you, but it makes me personally a better person. Let's try and underline that. Just because I'm educated does not mean I'm above. It does not mean whatever that you do, I perceive everything, I'm on top of everyone. Why? It makes me a better person because now I have what we call, there's a difference between secular knowledge as well as a sacred knowledge. Now I'm a graduate. I have what we call secular knowledge. Secular knowledge is knowledge that has nothing to do with God, but it has everything to do with other things. Your theories, other theories that do not pertain to religion. Whereas your sacred knowledge is God, for God, by God, all of it. So therefore, it means that as I am a graduate, I can use what we call secular knowledge to understand sacred knowledge. So so that whenever I come in front of you and I carefully evaluate scriptures, I have to put in front of the church. I use what we call hermeneutics. We study that way in secular knowledge as well as in sacred. So I'm able to use hermeneutics, which is the study of interpretation of text or interpretation of biblical text. So I use that so that I can understand what was the author thinking whenever he wrote this book. What was the author thinking? Just like when you look at Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, in Daniel chapter 1 verse 17, says that the Lord gave them the knowledge and skill to understand the literature and the language of the Babylonians. Why did he do that? So that he can place them in a position of power or in leadership positions, so that the sacred knowledge of God can find space and manifest. So that's basically there. It makes it allows the plan of God to manifest and be able to take place. So therefore, and this one is very close to my heart because I'm doing literature, I'm doing languages, so I want that spirit to be poised upon me. You see, so therefore, it does make me a better person, so that whenever I stand in front of people and quote scriptures and make people understand what I'm saying, I'm not trying to push my own narrative, but obviously I'm led by that comprehension of scriptures, of grammar. You see, but that's basically that. It does make me a better person.
Like the Islamic religion, which is quoted the Islamic religion. I like the unity. They built big mosques, and it's not unity, it's this division, because now my mosques are different, and my branches are different in Okshi. You know, within the Islamic religion, back on, they are still bashing one another. But when they present a front, they present a united front. They uplift each other, they grow each other. And I think this thing, imparting knowledge to each other as Zion, will help us uplift each other and grow each other. When other, maybe Christian dominations view Zion, for example, but you want to be like them. You know, like I know they've quoted a lot of scriptures. I'm not going to go through scriptures and verses, but I like the church sharing eggs because the Bible says they're all in one accord. If we can all be in one accord and push, yes, the things of the Spirit will be the things of the Spirit. The Bible, and it helps because here we're applying it right now. Within our expertise, we're applying the word of God. You know, and also for me, it's also an empowerment. But how does the Bible help me in my daily life? When you hear I'm a panelist and it goes around like quoting scriptures, it's an upliftment to say, actually, I'm on the right path. Because Christians have, and we don't take up spaces because God will provide. God knows the plans He has for me. He does know the plan. What am I doing about it? You know, it gives me that added advantage. Yes.
Okay. Before I give, I feel like at some time we're seeking so much validation from people. We seek validation in being conformed on the standards of Israel.
I don't think being uplifting ourselves is seeking validation.
No. So, what I'm trying to say is, right? And there are people that fell in love with our traditionalism. You know, we mustn't run away from being innovative. We mustn't run away from implementing new things in the church space. But sometimes there are things that should now be doing. Hence I'm saying, we seek so much validation to a point where we be conformed to the standards of Israel.
Can I come in? From a Christian background, if you look at, for instance, the reason why people went for men like Paul, who was well educated, was a strategist, who knew what he was targeting, and he knew Paul, he can take advantage of it. Because Peter and John at that time, they were not educated, but he knew the target market here. By having God in my team, this is what I will accomplish. So in other words, if we say plans in advance, there's a reason why God put you where you are as a graduate or in a graduate. Because at the end of the day, it's a through you understand? So this conversation, I'm not taking it lightly because we are speaking to the future. That's why there are videos and podcasting is called, so that the future can see, even if we're no longer here one day, but the future will see where the conversation starts. I love the way, if I go, I'm now a historian, like Omunimut. If I go and I look at how the Stellenbosch crew started their economy, it was a group of 8 people, a group of 7 people. It doesn't need a lot to reach. ABSA was created by a group of 6 people, you understand? If you go back to history, what I'm trying to say is that if we are going to have an impact as sustaining even in the future generation. Because obviously, even in Skatsamaj, will drop out easy. So we are having children who will be language practitioner in the future. Already we have kids who will be that, you understand? So we have to incorporate the education system for the future for them as well to adapt to it. So the power of
Thank you. Let us begin.
So many people don't know it. Firstly, I would like to say these are your only graduates. Something you don't know. So this narrative, able to say only it's a wrong narrative. Ubawethu Daniel was a qualified graduate. He was a media administrator. 1909 he was hired by John Chibik, a missionary from American established in the ability of Alaska. Yes, he came in 1903, and then I was John Chibik, he came now, so the years of the other guy who was a qualified architect, Charles Sindane. Now these people, Zion is not a church, it's a place. That is why it's always said, what, in Zion. So it's a place in our residence. So they would go and practice whatever that they are qualified for, better themselves. Now, a mind of a person who's educated is much more stretched than the mind of a person who is not. Because if you're he trained than a young woman who is trained for informal education. So it is a thing. So I'm just bringing this thing to say, guys, we don't have to change Zion with our education. We just need to better Zion with what we know. Because we begin at the mountain, we culture. Because I think it's a place in Zion. So each and every place in the culture, yeah. So we start practicing the culture when we get to that place. We are spiritual beings, yes, but when we get to that place, when we start being spiritual, outside, you are yourself. You need to think as an individual, was equipped with an education. And then your surrounding finally benefit from you without you saying this is not how to do. But my the things that you do. Understand? So we don't have to change Zion. We need to better Zion. And not by making other people feel subordinate or feeling that we are superior than other people, but just practice what you do. And then when you adapt. Now adapt to what you do, adapt to what he is good or she is good at. And then let's uplift each other. Let us uplift each other at all times. Thank you.
And then last one. Not that I like ukuthi ngaziwe as izayo umuntu osezayo but ngiyathanda nami ukuthi abantu bangangoni nje umuntu osungezayo ufuna amakhekhe somewhere. You get, I want to have because I can see with Amazayo, like bias prima level with Amazayo of Fundan. Ushi Wakobata was is I look at Fundi. We all telling you that because of this stigma, this is with Amazayo of Fundan, Amazayo Island, it dress, it goes with. That's not true. In any the graduation was amazing. That's what I want. Because seeing you guys in your gowns, in your uniform, church uniform, if I'm not going to next inspired, honestly speaking, the next generation, by the one I mean, each one, they're going to inspire us to learn to family. So I think this I will be changing that and see how my guys.
And it's quite interesting to see we are founded by who are actually educated. And for the effort to mention someone from America, Omega 7's our founding father, actually says he saw some value in that particular person. Using that particular banner and I incorporate within a particular space. So the question now becomes, how did we end up in a situation whereby Amazayo are stigmatized as Abantama Funda? How did we end up as Amazayo whereby the majority of us are Funda? You know, from a historical perspective, when you analyze the history of South Africa, you know, there's Anglican. Those who are traditional Western churches. Those traditional Western churches, Bogama churches was in America, that's in Europe. Those churches were subsidized by the government, you know, because they continued the apartheid agenda. I would say, basic indigenous churches, refused to be under colonial domination. Under colonial domination, they wanted to maintain their true African culture. Mandela, there was a time, do you know when he was supposed to speak about what you call a court? They refused to put it in traditional regalia. Yeah. Amazayo, the main reason, you know, these traditional churches, the government never wanted to subsidize us because we chose to maintain our true African identity. We refused to be under colonial subjugation. Are we together? Tina, we, number one, we took pride in speaking in language. We took pride in maintaining in Amasiko. And then remember the colonial agenda wanted to make being black unfashionable. Hence, you find in the 1960s, Steve people started to say black is beautiful. Steve people started to advocate for any African identity. So once they convince you, your identity as a black man is insignificant, it becomes easy for you to control you. So Tina, I want to refuse to shy away from any. Hence, like for example, it's not biblical. It's not biblical. You know, in the traditional sense. But it's because it was true to our culture. We incorporated elements in culture with what? Christianity. So as a result, the government never subsidized us. The government never took Abantu to school. Are we together? But so you find within those other churches, more from the history, who still pick up of Sgela, but he went to Lovedale College, Nama Missionary College. Lama Missionary Colleges had other resources that are were deprived. As much as the Bama Funda, but the Bama they operated with the level of faith of Abraham, not with the level of faith of Paul. Even though in Africa, what we no Moses. No Abraham. So on, because of their spiritual nature. Yeah, because of their spiritual nature, they were able to connect noNkulunkulu outside the bridge, the education. Yokuthi momathaphetisa nabantu bebangakhonze ezayo. Bebabazi baba othize, obekakwazi ukumphilisa akonza kuphi ezayo. So khona izwi lapha kumshumayeli ukuthi lithi there are times and seasons. Ngalesa sikhathi imfundo ingakaqhamuka, uNkulunkulu beyangadedanga kithi kodwa bekakhuluma ngani ngomoya. But manje because imfundo iqhaphakile, uNkulunkulu has a different expectation kuphi kithi. IBhayibheli lithi one day uNkulunkulu is like 1,000 days, and 1,000 days it's like one day. So uNkulunkulu now kunesikhathi esiphila kuso, he's expecting us to bridge something that was politically deprived from us, which is education. Something which was economically deprived from us, which is economics. Yokuthi uNkulunkulu now has an expectation. Yokuthi in the past it was sebenza ngomoya, but manje ufuna sebenza ngani ngemfundo. Hence sila, you know. So to answer the initial question, yokuthi historically amaZayoni azange athole education because systematically we are deprived of in the education because we chose to maintain our true cultural and African identity. Bese number two, education has come because God sees the need for education. John uNkulunkulu appoints certain times because in everything experience in every life manifest. Uthi Paul lapha in the book of Colossians, I planted a seed. Bese uSilas watered, but it is God who gave the increase.
Lento abantu abayishiwo ukuthi thina sifunda. And ngithanda lokushiwo bakumbatha. Uthi ukufunda kwakho bebafunda nabantu, ne? Babefika esontweni. That's when they start practicing their skills. So kahle it goes back to yonke lento esiyishiwo ukuthi we need each other. Even the ones that are not fully informed, we do need them. So that sibe munye. So basically uzalo mafundanga ngeke. We just need to change that. Again, I need to move to my last subtopic.
Okay, just to, I support this motion, but I'll come with something else. Calling the Bible might understand, but organized nemfundo. Asithi nje khona umuntu ongashintsha athi sengifundile manje mangingena esontweni ngizongena igcatshu. Njengoba sekhona into ekwayikwazi we want to incorporate education into a seizure, which is what should happen, so that vision is steered to the right direction. We have to be able to separate the two, because if we are at a market, this is because I'm song in the programs, and it's safe to learn this. Masalawi, ukala abantu abasibani nemandla, abe nequalification abone ukuthi siyankulu kunanalo umphethe ongenalo ukuthi we can't run away from that. But all I'm saying ukuthi ekugcineni kumele si-understand whichever spaces sikuzo, whether you're qualified, whether you're not qualified, you serve the purpose.
I survive. Do you think the next generation should survive? Me as an individual, like again, me I survive. None of them must go through that. Because if we need each other's testimony. Because you shared this story, and each and every one of us. But now, should we all go through the survival stage?
No. Yes. Let me take on this one, before we can even answer that, I'd like to touch base on testimony. Let's look at the word testimony. The etymology of the word testimony, which means the origin of the word testimony. Now, the word is taken from the Greek word, which means testes. Testes, it's up to you how you look at it. Now, when you do that, when you look at it from that version, testimony, it means a witness might be a primary witness, it might be a secondary witness. Then let's look at it from the Hebrew perspective. It says, do it again, Lord, with the very same power and authority. Then, before I even go further, let's even stretch it down even further and bring it closer to home. What's a testimony? A testimony is your life's experiences meeting with God's action. That intersection between the two becomes a testimony. So now, the point that I'm making is that with all these testimonies that are there, I suffered, I struggled, I did this happened to me. We need to be able to incorporate all of that, bring it close, put it in one basket, and be like, this is where and how we suffer. Now, the next generation should not suffer the very same way that we suffer. I'm getting it. The reason why today I solely wanted to invest my life in God, be after God's heart, and invest in education is so that my kids will not suffer the very same way that I suffer. Now, this is going to help us in a sense. When I went to varsity, my first year, I didn't have funding. I had friends who had NSFAS, they had funding, they were funded. I didn't have. It was difficult. Can you imagine? It's that time of the month. Everybody is like, and you accompany them where? To the mall. When you get there, what are you going to do? You're going to push their truck. What? So that they can give you something. You see. So should my kids suffer the very same way? No. Should the people that I went to church with, or the people that the generation that comes after me and says I will suffer the very same way that I suffer? No, they should not do that. What did I do? I had to apply for funding the following year. What did I do? That alone became a motivation for me to do better in my studies. I was doing 7 modules, and I managed I managed to pass 6 of those with distinctions. Why? I turned that adversity into something good, because those adversities, they make you to become a different person altogether. So therefore, the point that I'm advocating for is that all these testimonies, we should bring them in one basket and make sure that Uzayo, now this is what I want, Uzayo, if this can be fulfilled, life will be great. If we can have a bursary, that is going to, one, discriminate fairly. That's fair discrimination. We say, if Ukonza Zayoni and you're studying, you want to study right, this is what you want to do, then we're going to fund your studies. That's what we want, because we don't want them to get there and end up doing things of this world with people of this world. Why? Because they want money. They want to fit in. Let's fund them so that we can make life better for them and they will struggle and be the
So, you know, you shared your testimony and it touches the mind. I wanted to share it at the end. You know, the company I'm working for today, it's the company that's paying for my fees. But Ganja, when I only started 1 year, I think I was a lumber but cash. The second year, my parents were saying, I want to study, guys, Nyafuna, but understanding, okay, maybe I'm only understanding them now. Let me not lie. I understood there. I didn't. You know, there was a point where I went to a food, I didn't know what I said to myself, That's the only thing you need. Come to the company, take the loan, and move forward.
I see we're focusing more on, yes, it is a big problem of finances and stuff like that, right? But also, they mustn't suffer in terms of seeking someone to talk to. This journey was, if I share my story, because I share a similar story, as much as women are demanded to sit and say, I'm a Bcom Accounting graduate, a 3-year degree took me 5 years to complete. In those 5 years, year 1, 5, I was thinking, oh, the trying is going to be easy. Reality check is not. It's weird. Now, the struggle of being a varsity student with big textbooks in a classic way, right? It's difficult for me given past 5 so to campus, putting my line in for 2 hours. Now, if I'm there late, I'm standing in the line for 2 hours. 2 hours cartel, right? If you get class in, I'm expected to focus in a lecture for another hour and a couple of minutes, right? Then there's a gap in between. People go to libraries. I'm exhausted. How am I supposed to study? How am I supposed to concentrate? Not really. I only have 10 minutes. I must have chips. You know, you're eating. I must have chips every day. It's the health expert was like, you must eat green. You must, for your mind to be stimulated, you must do this and that and that. You know, it was difficult in that year, right? The following year, my mom quit her job because my parents paid first year. Second year, because also I believe as much as finance is our problem, but also seeking mentorship. So there was my mom was a big paid. They couldn't bursary thingy, Basipana to help with my textbooks, 5,000. But those funds were managed by Study Trust. So now Study Trust had events, which I attended, right? Because my mom wanted to quit her job. Now if she quits her job, who's going to pay my fees, you know? I attended those events, and also the Bible says you must have faith as little as a mustard seed. I will complete my qualification. My mom kept on saying, no matter how long it takes to figure it out, as much as you wanted to figure it out. To cut the long story short, 2014, my parents were involved in a car accident. I think it was a accident. Both my parents were impacted. My dad has a huge scar on his face. I had to quit school for 2 months to look after my parents. My mom couldn't work. My parents are sleeping in separate bedrooms because I can't sleep in a low bed, I can't sleep in a high bed. I'm supposed to keep focused. Mental health, guys. I'm supposed to stay focused in my studies because I want to finish. Now, but here's the situation at home. You know, my sister just got a job, so she's doing her bit. My sister walks a long distance to get to Daveyton. I have to go back home. Going back to school, I'm expected to pass. How? Fine, to cut the long story short, there was a subject commercial law. I failed for the second time. What most people are going to find out for the first time today, if someone goes to UJ, they understand an F7. I got an F7. UJ was like, we are kicking you out. Skatela, where you failing? Just for failing one module twice, I got an F7. I remember how much I cried that day, saying I am so close yet so far. Yeah. You know, who's like, Lord, where are you in this situation? You know, I go to church, I do everything, I pray, where are you? You know, but also understanding the journey. You know what, persevere. I had to write a letter explaining why and promising them I would pull up myself. You know, the very same module that has given me problems, that time lacking passed with the distinction, you know? And now having to do year number 5, I was doing just one module, taxation. That was the only module that I had left to graduate. That year, all my friends were graduating. I had to attend all the graduations. As painful as it was for me individually, but it was a matter of my friends who at least to push it. You know, if you can do it, then I can do it. The next generation shouldn't suffer the way we suffer. We should offer mentorship. We must offer them. Guys, mental health is a big topic lately, around lately. Giving someone funds, because they gave me funds. Even like when I did the pick and pay thing versus whatever, Study Trust, I spoke to them because I'm Bambi, I like to talk whatever. But I got space about the funds. Okay, fine, that was not the problem. They paid for my raise. Even though I was failing, it was fine. They were still paying for my raise. I was still staying at raise. Things were fine. But what I needed was the mental capacity. And I'm so grateful that I had the skills that I had because they kept on pushing. They were like, no matter how long it takes to feel like that. We need more people that are going to play that role. And I feel like it does not start, because now we focus on matrix grade 11s. It starts from maybe somewhere in high school because those are the times where you discover yourself, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about the skills that you want very beneficial. But one thing that I can say to the youth in Nhlakanipho, the way they suffer, is offer them like that mental support, like that mentorship, to hold them hand by hand. We finish line and you say, you know what, I'm not a product, but you can say, I was there through that journey. It should give you fulfillment in that routine. You know what, my friend was, I'm in the past, I don't have to, you don't have to go through that. Let me give you advice and tips.
Ungasafani vela mina ngifani for ukuthi kube khona abaphambili ku-2016 ukuthi kube noshintsho. Whenever there's sacrifice, sacrificing way to change. If we are saying that we have to start a fund, where are we going to get the money to start a fund? Because angeke sithi siqale i-fund whereas Mr. Mata, who's an author, who's got a book, we're not buying his books. And then we are going to write a letter and say, Mr. Mata or Reverend Mata, please donate 10,000 towards the fund. But none of us bought any of his books. How do we expect him to come up with that fund? So what I'm trying to say, economics, it's a simple cycle, capital, labor, it's simple cycle. 4. So the guys are assisting portion. They understood this thing. They will be an entrepreneur. They will be an office person. They will be someone who studies. Law owns man, Mela owns money. Laba basebenza vele basupport lawyers man, so that the lawyers man can create a job for this office person. And the office person naye njengoba sekamsebenzi uyakwazi ukuthi yenze ezinye izinto. It's an economic cycle. Imali isuka la iyela. So my thing is that if we are saying Uzayoni has to create a fund, are we now saying we will get what OJL enterprise? Are we going to support him? So that one of the days, Masia OJL, we require his sponsorship or we requesting sponsorship for him. He's capable of doing that. Because it's not only based on someone has to pay the money. Someone has to pay So the narrative I'm trying to drive within Zion, let us invest in Zion. Even Zion economy, I always say the power is in the numbers. Even now, if you see college or see college, there are so many opportunities that are out there. Even the financial institutions, if we are busy one of the days, Uti Wazani, Ezayon, Ukon, Esoso, Ukonama graduate, if there are numbers, they will come and they will sponsor and endorse them because they are looking for numbers. But as soon as there's a division, which they are blessing, they are or they are, I'm not going to sponsorship because when those people come, they look at the number, which is the whole field. That's where the other denominations have found the advantage, not only because of colonialism, by Bafalwa. They understood the fact that Roman Catholic, Roma, but they're talking about Amara Roman, because they work as a unit. So until we come together and have this one thing, and support each other within the economy, because I always say township is an economy, is an economy. If she support an initiative, also, Saturday, Good Friday, now Mamma's Banda, Siara, so tell them, Siama gift, Sasa is all. I'm sorry, I normally give another problem, even when people come to us for sponsorship business. Okay, I only supply someone. Unasto, what's my shop? Where's the name? What's the name? You understand? I took him, he came to the farm, he came, up to if he's having something, I will make sure that I support him, even financial, even no matter financial, but I will be there because gets his son and his son is his son. So my mama they want to take her it's so fun because you see right now, I'm in talks on a huge team, a call which is including Abandasa America, who have come through to me and saw what I'm doing. You understand? So it means this thing will go national one day. Even when it goes national, no one has what you're what this direction is. Fortunately, we are the first of this direction. Because as we all sitting here, we know this is the time, or this is the peak as I only ever know country is money. Tina Sakula do not as too many. So in a German code, it's very much important for you now to set the standards, or rather to set a pattern whereby you give mentorship, but you must kill the spirit of pride. You must be approachable. The problem with our Zion today is not approachable. These people preach the gospel, but they're not approachable. So now, you as graduates, you need to be approachable so that my son, if he wants to study or he aspires to study or be like you, it can be easy for him to come to you and say, hey, I'm struggling. Then you can hold his hand and take him through his way. The problem is now, we have people who are not approachable within our Zion society. So let's come back and then let's be approachable. Nina, as the first graduate, it's your responsibility to make sure that you create that culture or you create that practice that says we are here to help. You understand? That's point number one. Point number two, they don't have to go through what you went through. If Nina, you make sure what you went through become beneficial from where you come from. Last is, I think I always say this when I speak to people. Our Zion community is rich. There's nothing we don't have here. This economy, or this community as Zion, it's very rich. We can build something solid, but the only thing that stands between us and our success is our pride. You see, these Muslim guys and all these things that we can come and say this and this and this. There's nothing better. Whatever God placed in them, He also placed in us. Since I was a child, I always tell myself that I win. When I set myself out, I'm saying I'm going to win. Even my wife knows. I make sure it lives. I'm that type of a guy. So for us to instill that spirit, so that the next generation we need, I said to the guys when we started this show, I said to the guys, this is like us going down to get a data. What are the problems? The next session that we're going to have, I'm sure around summer, is going to be the implementation. So don't just sit there and have nice words and this nice experience, just want to be seen, want to be famous. Just know that what you're saying there, we're going to call you back again and say, how are we going to implement this? Because the most important thing, we need to implement what we say. I'm telling you, your key problem is that you solution your problem is so let's come back to this.
People who came up with such an initiative, let's apply them. It's because we lack initiatives of Nhlakanipho. Where we sit down and talk, there's no music, there's no soccer, there's not even dress code here, just as we talk. You know, because book, I wanted to write some notes. Yeah, because I thought at some point to work on my lecture, only 120 years of Uzaim, so I was like, oh, this is very interesting, maybe, you know. But I'm here, I don't regret being here. Because everything they need to learn, I'm like, oh, wow, we are on another level now, you know. I want to bridge a gap between parents and the now youth. For the upcoming generation, which are going through what we went through, I think it lies entirely on us as parents. In fact, we need to groom. I usually look at just Chole, post Nhlakanipho and all that. I'm posted Sesuntweni, I'm posted Uyeskolweni. Now, these things they simply say, apart from alignment academically, you need to equip your child from here. And even the language you know, from you know, so equip from Ekaya, it's very much important. Because those things, they make Umntwana an independent thinker.
True.
But that child is able to sit down and say, okay, grade 10, that's standard 8, ne? Yeah, but grade 10 or grade 9, they decide because my friends want to do this, therefore this is what I'm going to do. Because Imondo Yaki is well oiled. Where I was with, but I don't see myself doing that. I remember Minama when we were grade 10. Abang and Mom, they were saying, no, Tina Swins met, Tina Swins are in. Today I stand here and I say I'm a historian. Because I did history school. I knew what one day I want to be an author, one day I want to be an actor, and for me to qualify to do that, it requires history. You understand? At that age. So if we don't spend time with our kids, I'm done. If we don't spend time with our kids, it's easy for our kids to take a direction wrong, influenced by the society out there.
Yeah.
So let's spend time with them, let's love them. Let us make the point what we partake. Thank you.
To see how we develop skills within us by saying that is that if you can coach listen, if you are a particular engine, this is what you're going to gain. With that, don't lose yourself within that thing that you are doing. Don't lose ubunkonzo lobu engifundisa bona mina as your parent. And two, into your mental health, guys, is really, really important. We need to take care of our mentally. I don't know how we can practice it within Inkonzo, but we need to do it because abantwana bayabaleka ecaweni. Abantwana bayabaleka ecaweni bayobheka. Uyabuya esontweni, kade wahamba ngo-9 uzongena ngo-8 wena kudala ubuyile. Unuka lento ongayazi ukuthi igama lakhe. How is that helping that child mentally? And me, as a parent, how am I helping the child by being shy every day? Am I taking care of his health, mental health, or Yamosha? So I think in the next sitting that we're going to have, those are the type of things that we need to bring up. And also invite the younger kids to be part of this so that they can listen to their brothers and sisters as to how they got where they are. They must know that you work for everything that you need.
No, it's almost like it was a little because ungaba nomlingelo enakade kahle umenyeza ukuthi ibandla thize ngilekele 10,000 rand ngoba lihambe ngebhasi. You understand? Mina mangikhula bekomkhulu nje lokufunda but bebenendlela yokwenza imali. Bebenza hamba nento abathi ibhodi. Uthi namhlanje sizoyenkonzeni yami
institute zoyikonzeka koyomuntu like ngiya epointini lokuthi siqala kanjani i-scholarship samazayo like maybe njengesolikabisho siyazi ukuthi from January siyazi ukuthi maybe ngoNovember ngoDecember kunemali kumele ikhiphe ngisho maybe njengala ebanjeni lami ngafinish ukuthi kade kukhona into so sike siyoqala into so sibe mhlawumbe set date maybe November siyahlangana maybe mabandala adlulile 10 maybe siba nemali esikhulu ukuthi ngaleyo days kaNovember ibale thize izofika no 2,000 or 5,000 then by next year January ngabe sinemali yokuqala scholarship amen
the main reason is because I saw a need. Number one, so just to show one to answer the question. Number one, I felt within the digital space, normally the media, Amazon are not represented in you know, like for starters, more big to miss. You know, I feel about represent to those that are written at this mass. I'm talking. So, that's why, number one, we need digital representation. What you call television or traditional media representation. You know, that's why my car. Number two, I car to a non-dominational. In the sense of which I part to umuntu okhonza ebandleni uphakamisa ibandla elithize. Momabela lekama umbutho wase Zion. The organization yethu sonke. The organization representative so, you know, so in the is because I saw a need. We need a platform whereby Amazon representing is positive. Not. There's a psychological concept known as negative bias. The psychological concept known as negative bias says ibamba inteni galula udlula inteni. So by having a positive representation here to Amazon, we are able, number one, to counteract lezinto ezivela kuphi kuma social media. Bazalwane, indaba zamabandla yakuthangazazi. Just I wanna make something. Indaba zamabandla ngiyazazi. Futhi zizakini ngazicela. But here's the thing. Yongisiza ukhulumile yazona. What I focus on predominantly isn't positive. Why? So that we can be inspired to become better. Konabazalwane from different churches. before. Later we serve it as a benchmark. You go to Zion when it comes to dress code. My sister mentioned something in education. Young people namhlanje Zion bakhompyutha ngokuthi bafunda. Angisho emasontweni hlezi ukukhulunywa ngokuthi akunamabo model akuna. Sibuya from different dominations nama-struggles. Khona le concept educational Wednesday. Umuntu uyakhuluma injini yakhe ukuthi ekhaya benganababa, but I was able to make it. Khona abantwana emasontweni wethu ngakuthi the majority wethu emasontweni abantu abafundayo. They can have a role model online or inspire to become something about now. That's the thing. So in closing, we need our bodies. Lies are that are non-dominational. Mangithi non-dominational ngisho kanjani. Ama-bodies angabhekanga ukuthi ngifuna ukukhulisa ibandla lami. Ama-bodies anganalento yokuthi I want ukubona. Mina umuntu waseZion for sure ngivele less than 5 times. Abantu abaningi abangazi and it is okay. Why? It's not about me. So, in answering your question, Nansekai, how do we do it? Number one, we need to understand the song is Namazayo. And in the says, make it tea. Mina, Mambona Mabanja, Ashuga. Inga quote for it is a why? Because
okay, for me to conclude, number one, just to say thank you for this opportunity. I feel as a future, it really is in good hands. It's to, number one, I like these type of conversations where we empower each other. You know, being black is a struggle. Being black is not easy. But we're paving the way in the future. To mention like how he struggled financially. And these kind of areas, they help us grow as individuals. As much as it's kuluma about the church, but growing yourself as an individual. I've learned so much just sitting here and listening. And if we get related to it, I'm a panelist or whatever, but it's so grateful. It's the little things that make a difference. So to come and also now ingest something, So for me, it's just gratitude. There are people that are invested in growing Uzayo, There are people that are invested in like bettering the lives of people, because bettering myself today, let's say I was not even a graduate, not even but for me today, it's something to take to better myself, and bettering myself is also bettering my family and the communities we come from, because this platform is not only going to help us, but this platform is going to help you know what, we spoke about this, let me just help, this particular child. But it's also a matter of empowering one another as black people, the black child. So yeah, that's where I think.
Yes, guys, in closing, let's make education fashionable, one discourse at a time. Second to that, let's make Uzayo fashionable. And how can we do that? In linguistics, we have this theory called behaviorism theory. It says that children, they learn through imitation and repetition. And when you carefully evaluate that from a closer sense, you see that stretches to you being at this age right now. You still learn through imitation and repetition. So therefore, whatever that people are going to see we're doing as Uzayo, they're going to try and imitate that. The next coming generation is going to try and imitate that. They're going to do that repeatedly. So whatever that we do, the image that we put out there of Uzayo should be in good light. And we need to do that. Whatever that is, we need to do that. And lastly, let's take note of this. Perseverance is everything. Perseverance is the mother of success. We need to, our children, what they're doing is that they acclimatize their lifestyle, their luxurious lifestyle that they see on Instagram. Not they say that there's something on Instagram, no. But what they see on Instagram, they try to imitate that, they try to do that. So what we can do there, it's up to us that whenever they try to be in those spaces, at home, we make it easier for them to see that, no, this is the way, this is how we should do things. And life is all about being patient. I applied adversity, I went there, I studied, it speaks to patience. It took me 3 years to complete my first qualification. It took me a year to complete my second one. It took me a year to complete the third one. It's going to take me another year to complete the current one. So therefore, it speaks to patience. It speaks to perseverance. And at a certain point in time, you were 1 year old. You were 2 years old. You were 15 years old. You were 20 years old. That's patience. You see, that's persistence. And you didn't have team. There was a time when you were toothless. But then we need to understand that God made this to happen, that perseverance needs to be there. And lastly, without commitment, you'll never start. But without consistency, you'll never finish.
I think that's something up. Perseverance, because nothing is easy. Even if you say you go into business or you go into the qualification side of things, nothing is easy. You definitely have to develop yourself even within that space. It doesn't mean because you're a farmer, you just automatically know how to plow whatever you're doing, for example. Every year there's something new that is introduced that will give you redevelopment. So whatever, whether it's soft skills, whether you go to YouTube, use your data wisely, use your time wisely, read books, read a lot of books out there. There's a lot of books, even if you don't want to take the qualification route. But at the very same time, let's appreciate and respect everyone, because even among graduates, it wasn't easy for them to get to where they got to. So we appreciate the fact that they went through obstacles that they are saying they went through, and yeah, let's just persevere and then put in effort. Put in effort into it, and then let's take the economy as I will serious, because this is an economy. Yeah, so let's take it seriously. The economy. My thing is all about that. On the economic side of it, let's take the economy serious and circulate the rent thing. Not because I have a business per se, but because I understand that in order for us to get to another level in life and in the legacy, we need to have the circulation around us.
Thank you, but apart from anything, I would also like to say, let's change studying before graduating. But let's start to know and apply. Because in most cases, we just study for moving to wear the ground and we see. But now let's try and apply and know more, and people that are next to us have more career talks, as you said. We need these things, because our generations go through a lot of things, adversities. They encounter different people, everything is just not as easy as it looks. So we need more of career talks. We also need the bursaries that the generations will need, so that they don't go through the things that we went through. But apart from anything, thank you guys for your time. Thank you, panelists, for engaging with me. We also would like to thank the media people. Thank you guys for Sgela, and thank you for everything. Thank you.